Is Southern hospitality a myth, or are people in the South nicer than others? So, as somebody who grew up in the Midwest and now lives in the South, depending on the people you ask, you might get different answers. For some context, there's scholars that say that the phrase Southern hospitality only started to show up in the early 1800s. And during that time, there's a ton of arguments over slavery. So it was really viewed as kind of a PR move for people to say, hey, look at us, we're really hospitable and we do treat people really nice and we welcome people when they were really trying to defend their position. And the problem with this, especially with white Southerners, was that they were selective in their hospitality because it only applied to certain people groups and certain classes. But on the flip side, there are tons of research that show in the South, people truly were hospitable. Early Southerners actually lived far away from big cities, and there weren't as many inns and places to stay. So, just for survival, travelers had to stay with other people. So, hospitality was something that was truly practiced. There's a ton of stories and rhythms from like the early church in that area that practiced sharing meals and hosting people. So, is Southern hospitality a myth, or is it really the identity of the South? I would say it's probably a mix of both. I know the history is really complicated, but as Christians, we shouldn't have this as an optional characteristic trait. Romans 12 really shows this, and specifically verse 13 talks about how we should show hospitality, but that sits in this larger section that in the ESV, the title is The Marks of a True Christian. So this is something that I think is an underrated gift. A lot of times we celebrate Christians and we seek some of these spiritual gifts of being a great speaker or singer or worship leader or this really mega popular person when we really should be celebrating opening up our doors and inviting people in. And that's such a great way to understand the gospel about welcoming in someone without any expectation in return, just how Jesus kind of treated us. We talk a lot about this on our latest episode about the holidays, but I think this is the perfect time to showcase hospitality and truly practice out the gospel in a way that we all have the opportunity to do.